everyone, hope you're having a great day today. Today I want to talk about making Poppets because, well, I'm running out of things to talk about, guys. And I'm just going to go over it briefly because I plan on doing something more later on actual, making Poppets and really going in depth about it. So this is just going to be like a real brief tutorial, I guess. So making Poppets. Now look, you can use anything. You don't have to get a design and follow that and sew them yourself. That's not a requirement. You can buy already made Poppets that are just like don't have anything added to them, or you can use cheap dollar store Barbies, or just whatever you want to use, really. That you can use wax. You don't have to use cloth. You can use clay. I mean, really, your possibilities are pretty endless when it comes to Poppets. So this is where, your imagination and creativity can really kick in, and you can decide on what you want to use. Personally, for me, I do like the traditional cloth Poppets because I find that they're just easier to add things to, as far as like if you want to add specific herbs. If it's a healing Poppet, you want to add those herbs into the Poppet itself, possibly. You can add little pouches and things like that, like if it's for love and you have a heart on the Poppet, you can leave the top open and put certain herbs, crystals, whatever in there, and then sew it up. And so to me, there's a little bit more versatile than, say, like buying a plastic Poppet. I personally don't like using plastic that much. For me, it's more of an environmental thing. Plastic is really bad for the environment, and so I just feel like, I don't know, I always feel kind of guilty buying something like that if I don't have to, if there's an alternative. So I've used wax Poppets before, and everybody knows that famous scene in The Witches of Eastwick with a wax Poppet, and they work. The important thing to remember when you are working with Poppets is that you have to give them life. It's not just making the doll and stuffing it with things. You need to breathe life into them, whether you are making a representation of yourself, which you can, like, especially, for healing. If you need to deal with certain internal emotions, you can use that. If you want to open up your spiritual communication and things like that, you can use a Poppet that's a representation of yourself. Obviously, take very good care of that Poppet. Make sure it doesn't wind up in the wrong hands. But yeah, even if you're not making a Poppet of yourself, you still need to breathe life into that Poppet. And there are several ways you can do that. You can literally breathe into the Poppet, speak into the Poppet. I command you to come to life. You're a representation of such and such, blah, blah, blah. There's several. I like to, if I'm going to bring a Poppet to life, obviously I'm not talking about it getting up and walking around on its own. But even though that would be really cool. But no, I mean, like, bringing its magical aspects to life. So if it's not a representation of myself, if it's a representation of someone else, I bring it to life right after I add whatever I need to add to connect that material with the person. Usually meaning hair, nails, saliva, sex fluids, pictures, those work. To me, honestly, it's so much better if you can actually get a piece of them. And there's a ton of ways, y'all. You just, you just have to be a little sneaky about it. if it's something you don't want them to know about. Like if you're using the Poppet for maledictive purposes, then you probably aren't going to want them to know. So yeah, there's several ways to acquire someone else's DNA, I guess you could say. You know, if it is if it's someone that you can't have access to, like their house, is like your frenemies or whatever, you know, you can get hair from their hairbrush, from their bathroom. If you're out, you know, on a lunch date, if it's someone you work with and you can't stand them, and you have like lunch meetings, you can swipe their napkin, their straw. That's even better, really. But napkin works too. You know, there's ways. You just have to be creative and sneaky about it if it's something that requires stealth. So if it's something for healing, then you ask, you know, obviously you ask the person, hey, you know, you want me to do this healing work for you? I'm going to need hair, fingernail clipping, whatever. You know, if it's a relationship type thing, and you want to make your bonds stronger, then you just ask your partner, you know, hey, I need this, you know, I need this, I need that from you to work this magic to make our connection stronger. And come on now, if it's your partner and you're living together, then you have like access to all kinds of stuff very readily and easily. So anyway, after I put in the specific item that's going to link that person with this Poppet, that's right after that. That's whenever, or while I'm doing that, that's whenever I put life and breathe life into a Poppet. But that's very, very important. Otherwise you just have a doll, you know, that might have somebody's hair in it. You really need to make sure that you bring and breathe life in and make that magical connection from the person to the Poppet. So, yeah, also, let's see, you can use them for just a wide array of things, y'all. You know, some people like to just do cloth Poppets and use different colored pins. You know, blue, and you've seen the sewing pins with a little colored ball on top, you know. Blue for healing, green for money, black for banishing negativity, things like that. So, excuse me, red for passion, love, pink, love. So, you know, some people prefer to do that and use the pin as a representation where, you know, if you want more money drawn to this person, then you would put like a green colored needle in their hands, you know, money coming to their hands. If you want to make a person more compassionate, or if they want to be more compassionate, they feel like they have a blockage there and they're not as compassionate as what they feel like they should be, you can use a pink needle in the heart area. Yeah, heart area. I had to make sure that was my left side. Yeah, I'm sort of out of it today. But yeah, so you'd use a pink needle, you know, compassion, maybe blue too for healing, maybe even black to remove any kind of negativity there that might be blocking them, orange to open the way, you know, all kinds of things. And some people, that's their preferred method. Other people like to use herbs and crystals and stuff the Poppet so far with like cotton or rice or whatever you want to use, and then, or Spanish moss is really popular, or you can and then after you put it, you know, so far, if you're working on the leg area, and it's healing, or you want someone to walk away, or, you know, things like that, you fill the leg area with like a banishing type herb to make them walk away from a situation. Let's say you have like you're dealing with a bully at work, because let's face it, bullying isn't just, it's not just kids in school that deal with bullying. Adults deal with bullying too. So if there's a bully at work and you want them to walk away from the situation, you're ready for them to like leave you alone, you can use banishing herbs in the leg portion of the doll, and then fill the rest up with whatever filling or batting you're going to use, to fill it up, and have it fully stuffed or whatever. And maybe have a representation of you or like your picture, and keep moving the doll farther and farther away from you. You can do things like that, and a lot of people like to do that. They like to sew crystals onto the surface of the doll. Heart-shaped rose quartz is really popular. The evil eye representations that you can buy, those aren't really crystals or like glass, but still, to banish negativity, those are very popular. Buttons for eyes, of course, are popular, and you can also like color coordinate that to whatever you want a person to see. If you want to remove, if someone is looking at you through a negative light because they have issues, whether it stems from discrimination that they hold, or they've heard bad things and they're not really giving you a fair shot, you don't think, you can put black buttons to represent their eyes, and so they see you without that negativity, So there's all kinds of ways you can work with Poppets, and all kinds of things you can do with them. Like I said, I'm going to go into that way more and do some like serious how-tos with links to designs and things like that you can print out and use to make your own Poppets if that's what you want to do, and just all kinds of things. To me, like, clay Poppets and wax Poppets work better for certain situations, and again, I will go into that later on. So but yeah, that's pretty much your Poppet basics. You make it, you get whatever you need to get to connect it to that person, whether it's yourself or someone else. Fill it up the way you need to fill it up, depending on what you want to do. Like I said, you could always add pockets on the outside to stuff herbs into specific places if that's what you need to do, or crystals or what have you, and breathe life into it, and then work with it. Fill it up with the things you need to fill it up with before you breathe life into it. To me, it's just easier. But if you can always add stuff to it afterwards. Whether you use pins or herbs or crystals or however you want to use, however you want to influence that Poppet with whatever types of items you want to use. So, but don't forget to breathe life into it. And if you have a representation of yourself, be careful. Make sure it's not something I would openly tell people about necessarily. So yeah, make sure it doesn't get into the wrong hands. And yeah, that's Poppet Baking 101, I guess. So I hope you enjoyed, and you'll have a fabulous day, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Bye.